podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on my birthday, Sunday, November 29th, 2020. This is episode 1750. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from TWiT's LastPass Studios. Securing every access point in your company doesn't have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure, even when they're working remotely. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. And by Twilio. Strengthen your customer relationships by uniting communications across your entire business. Get everything you need to build and deliver a new customer experience with Twilio. Go to twilio.com to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. I am the tech guy, your tech guy, really on the radio. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and all that jazz, all the computer gimcrackery and gizmos and gadgets. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to talk high tech. I'd love to talk high tech with you. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, well, you could still call, but you should probably use Skype out, and then it won't cost you anything. 888-827-5536. Let's start the show talking today about Sidewalk, because I'm of two minds on this thing. This is something Amazon has now introduced and is pushing out to many of the Amazon gizmos and gadgets in your house, like the Amazon Echo and the Ring stuff, the Ring doorbell and the Ring cameras. And it's a really interesting idea. Amazon says Amazon Sidewalk is a new way to stay connected. Here's the issue. Your Wi-Fi doesn't really go past the house by too much. But wouldn't it be cool if somehow we could put a network, not the cell network, but a network around neighborhoods so that, for instance, if your dog had a tag on it, it would see the tag and be able to locate your dog somewhere in the neighborhood. That'd be kind of cool. Or I'm sure there's some other use for it. I'll think of something. I can think of some ways Amazon would want to use it. So what they're doing is they're putting a little radio, it turns out it's always been there, in their devices using technology we call Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE. It's a 900 megahertz radio. So it goes through walls. It actually would go pretty well. In fact, they're even selling some stuff designed, I think, more to get the network outside than anything else, like a mailbox sensor. If you have one of those rural route mailboxes, we do. You know, it's not a mail slot in the door, but it's out, you know, in the at the end of the driveway. You could put the sensor on it, and then you get a little chime on your phone when the mailbox is opened. Oh, you got mail. So, you know, but at the same time, when you do that, you may realize, well, that rural route mailbox is down the drive a ways. It might be too far from the house to get Wi-Fi. Oh, but if you had this kind of low-grade network, low-power network all over the neighborhood, it would work. That's Amazon Sidewalk. You can get motion alerts from your security cameras, even if your Wi-Fi goes down. You wouldn't get enough bandwidth probably to get video, but you'd at least know there was something going on. Maybe you get an image, still image. Your smart lights at the end of the driveway might still be smart. Pets, valuables, lighting. Amazon calls the devices that support this, it's called a mesh network because it kind of passes it along. As long as one of these devices can see another of these devices, it can pass along the connectivity. It's very low bandwidth, but it does use your network ultimately, because at some point, one of those devices has to be connected to your home Wi-Fi. Amazon says, it doesn't use much bandwidth. Just a little bit. No more than 500 megabytes a month. No more than that. It's low bandwidth. It's just a little. So I could see the convenience in this. Privacy advocates and people who are just incensed by the idea that Amazon would, without really asking, borrow their network are upset. There's a privacy concern, and of course Amazon gets some other benefits because I think the real reason is their trucks, delivery vehicles are driving around, maybe even packages at some point. You could pinpoint them within this Sidewalk network that if all goes well, and it could very well, because a lot of people have Amazon Echoes in their houses, Ring video doorbells or Ring cameras. If it all goes according to plan, we could have this Amazon-owned low-power network all over. It's a great benefit for Amazon. I think probably the real reason for Amazon is they know where their delivery trucks are, right? I mean, they actually really, let's think about it. UPS and FedEx already have trackers in the trucks. They know exactly where a truck is. In fact, you've probably gotten that text, your package is 9 stops away. Your package is 8 stops away. That's because they know exactly where it is. So maybe this isn't something of great value. Maybe it's something you could put in a package, though. You don't want to, that's expensive. These Bluetooth LE devices, these radios, they need power, so you have to put a battery in. No, you're not going to build that into a package. Amazon has a white paper on privacy and security, and they do a lot of the things one would expect. Honestly, if privacy concerns you, this is not a big issue compared to the fact that you've got an Amazon-powered camera and microphone all over the place, right? And that all goes straight back to Amazon. So this is just a little low-power transmitter. There's some value to it. People are upset about it, though. I'm just curious how you feel about it, because I don't know. You can disable it. And maybe this is what's upsetting to people, is it's on by default. It's on automatically right now on your devices. So the way you turn this off, you actually have to do something, and it's not that easy. You go into the Amazon app, the ALEXA. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to trigger anybody's device, but the ALEXA app on your iPhone or your iPad or your Android device, you have that, right? And as long as it's on the latest version, when you click down in the lower right-hand corner, there's those lines that say More. That's where they hide the stuff they don't really think you're ever going to want to see. Then under More, you'll see More. And under See More, you'll see Settings. And then under Settings, how many clicks are we now? You'll see Account Settings. Who's counting? Are you counting these? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Under Account Settings, you'll see Amazon Sidewalk. That's 4 clicks. Here, you'll find, in some cases, something that says, Coming Soon, Amazon Sidewalk. And it'll describe, in a kind of glowing way, Amazon Sidewalk is a shared network that helps devices work better. Sidewalk can help your compatible devices automatically connect or reconnect to your router. It can also extend coverage for Sidewalk-enabled devices, such as Ring smart lights and pet and object trackers, which so far I don't think Amazon's selling, but maybe at some point they will, so they can stay connected and continue to work longer over longer distances. Sidewalk uses a small portion of your internet bandwidth to provide these services to you and your neighbors, because you're a good neighbor. Then at the very bottom, there's click, 5, 6, to disable. It doesn't say disable. It just says Amazon Sidewalk. Then there's a little switch. And then you can turn it off. That's how you turn it off. That is not... It's on by default. If you have a Sidewalk-enabled device, it's on by default. Now, this is this is going to be a good one for talking about privacy and Amazon and security and all that, because Amazon's designed this, and I'm going to say it. Amazon's designed this, I think, perfectly well to be secure. If you have an Amazon Echo or a Ring doorbell, you're already giving Amazon access to a microphone at least, and possibly even a camera that they can see. I guess there's switches you can kind of disable some of the features, but if you want to talk to Amazon's Echo and have it respond, you've got to send that conversation back to Amazon where they can see what you're talking about. That's just the way it is. That's how those things work. They're not what we call on-device voice recognition. The iPhone is, but not Amazon. So you already have made a deal with the devil. This is just a little bit more. I don't think it really doesn't use a whole lot of bandwidth. Never more than 500 megabytes a month. Which seems, I don't know, nowadays that's not much. Seems like a lot, I guess. But, even an app for your iPhone is going to be at least that big. So, in many cases. So, what's the harm? It's encrypted. Nobody can intercept it. There's not enough data going over it anyway. It's just things like turn on, turn off. I see the dog. They also rotate identifiers every 15 minutes. So people can't, know, they can't know exactly who's talking to whom. I guess Amazon must know that. If you want, there's a long, if you go to the Amazon Sidewalk page on Amazon, you can read the Amazon Sidewalk Privacy and Security White Paper, which if you want, the details is there. Nobody's going to read that. So why did Amazon turn it on? By default, because they know if they didn't, no one would turn it on. And they know that if they don't, most people will just leave it on. You now know how to turn it off. Are you going to run to your Amazon Echo app and turn it off? 6 steps in? Maybe, maybe not. What do you think? 8888 Ask Leo. I understand why people are like, what? And my initial reaction when I first heard about this some months ago was same, what? But I think it's harmless. And there's certainly benefit if you lose your dog or your keys. 8888 Ask Leo. I haven't turned it off yet. I can't decide. I'd love to hear what you think. Heck, strong as heck. It's Kim Schaffer, ladies and gentlemen, the unbreakable phone angel. Kim, you don't take no Schaffer. Schaffer. Hi, Kimmy.
Happy birthday to
stop it.
you.
You know what the more
Nobody wants to hear
appropriate
me
song
sing.
would be? Is the Beatles When I'm 64.
Oh,
Because,
that's right.
Yeah, because apparently those youngsters, when they were in their 20s, thought that was really old.
I know it was.
Will you
wasn't it?
still need me?
Will you
still feed me when I'm 64? I'm here
No, we're
to
just
tell
gonna leave you
it ain't that old.
No, it's definitely not.
Although my wife did feed me. She sent me with lunch. So, okay. Thank you, Kim. That's
You're
nice.
welcome.
Who should I start the show with today?
Let's go to Jim in L.A.
Jim in L.A. City. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Jim. Leo Laporte, the
Hello,
tech.
Leo.
Hello.
How are you, Leo? Happy birthday.
Thank you. What's up?
I've got a Lenovo laptop, and the mic stopped working this week.
Oh, man.
And I live on Zoom, it seems. And
Yeah, that's kind of a problem, isn't it? If you live no mic. Now, the good news is there's tons of USB microphones out there you could buy that would replace it.
well, it's less than this. It's about 6 months old. If I go to device properties, and the test won't let me test.
Yeah.
It seems like there's some.
Oh, that's interesting. So, there's things that can happen. There's a little pinhole where the mic reaches the outside world. Liquids can go in there. A pin could go in there. I mean, there's ways to physically break it. But then I think the mic test would work. So it sounds like a software issue.
Right. Me too.
I would first, since you say it's a new one, I press F11 and run Lenovo's Vantage software. You know about that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. If it doesn't run when you press F11, that's the default. You can just run it from the start menu. The Vantage software is Lenovo's kind of all-in-one. Everybody does this. Dell does it. HP does it. They're kind of their all-in-one upgrade your system software. It even has Windows updates available through it. But it's certainly the first thing to do if you're having hardware problems with a Lenovo machine, just like you would run the Dell program if you had a Dell. So I would do that and take a look at what it says about the microphone, and maybe even more importantly, see if there's any updates, because this sounds like it could just be a driver issue.
Right.
There's also, the chat room's reminding me, privacy settings in Windows that can disable your microphone. And some hardware has a physical switch to do that. Nowadays, it wasn't so long ago, I remember an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and you could see behind him his laptop camera had a piece of masking tape over it. It wasn't so long ago we realized, golly, we got a microphone and camera. The enemy's amongst us. We should probably do something about that for privacy. So Windows has a built-in privacy command that does, in fact, turn off the microphone. So if you go to, actually, easiest way to do this, hit the Windows key. That'll open the start menu and type privacy. You'll see microphone privacy settings. And you can actually, it says allow access to the microphone in this device. You can change that. You can allow apps to access your microphone. You can turn that on or off. You can choose which Microsoft Store apps can access your microphone. So there's a lot of things, and it could easily be that got switched. You were using it, obviously. You were Zooming before.
Yep, last week.
So the first thing I guess I would do is check the privacy settings. Second thing I'd do is run Lenovo's update program, the Vantage program. Make sure you got all the drivers installed in there. It is conceivable, that broke. The good news is 6 months, you're under warranty.
Right.
But those are the things, if you called them, this is what they would tell you first. Do this. Check the microphone privacy settings, then do Lenovo's Vantage and update. And do whatever it says to fix it. I hope that works for you. Can't promise it will. If none of that works, it's possible. I have to look at the settings. When you first run your system, you can go into the settings. We used to call it the BIOS setup, but there's no BIOS anymore. It's just called the system settings. In there may be also a way. Some hardware devices will have a way to, in hardware, disable a microphone. Again, because of privacy concerns. Same thing with the camera. Sometimes now they have a physical switch. I'm looking at my Lenovo right now, and even this older Lenovo, F4 turns off the mic. It's got. So I think that's the privacy setting, right? There's a hardware mic mute, so you might even look at that F4. And if you depending on how you set up your machine, sometimes pressing F4 will do it. You'll see a little icon pop up with a microphone. If it doesn't, press the function key and then F4. Because the function keys have dual purposes. I don't think that's a bad thing to have that ability. I'm looking at F4. I don't see a camera off. Maybe there is one. I could turn off the radios. Lenovo's, they're designed. These are business computers. So in fact, we had a caller last week, I think, who was talking about he works in a secure facility. Actually, I guess this was on our iOS program, iOS Today. Works in a secure facility, probably a government facility. He couldn't say, but he can't bring a phone with a camera in it or a headset with a microphone on it. In fact, they even look at the headset to see if it has 3 little rings, circles on the plug. That's the indicator there's a microphone. He can't bring it in. Yeah, and so I think these laptops, which are designed for government and business use, they probably have, that's why they have that switch. It's a hardware switch to disable the microphone, and I'm guessing the camera. I see also the radios. I can go into airplane mode. That's more for probably business travelers. Haven't been in an airplane since March, so haven't pressed that button. It is, I have to say, by putting that on the function keys, it'd be pretty easy to accidentally hit the F4 switch. In fact, I should have started with that, because I'm betting you that's really what it's all about. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Coming up in just a little bit, Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy. Chris Marquardt, our digital photography guys, next hour. And we want to introduce a new regular on the show, because I know you love space. Rod Pyle will be joining us to talk about SpaceX, the Crew Dragon, the International Space Station, interstellar exploration. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. right, we're going to have more of the Tech Guy Show in just a little bit, but first I want to talk to you about gentlemen, I guess ladies too, but mostly this is aimed at gentlemen, something very important. For this holiday season, it's important that your jingle bells be merry and bright. You know what I'm saying? If you're in quarantine, and yes, we still are, think about your poor partner who thinks that he or she is living with a Sasquatch. Doesn't have to happen. Doesn't have to happen. It's time, and this would, by the way, be the best holiday gift ever, the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. Ladies and gentlemen, your significant other will thank you. You'll thank you because it includes all the things you need to groom. And this is something I tell you, this is something my dad never taught me. And I've talked to my son about this. It's important that we gentlemen, we want to talk about grooming. Can we just for a bit? Manscaped and their Perfect Package 3.0 starts with this. This is awesome. This is the Lawnmower 3.0. The best electric clippers you've ever used. It is using a proprietary skin-safe technology. It's waterproof. You could use it in the shower if you want. It has the best ceramic blades. And you know, when you get the Perfect Package 3.0, you get the automatic updates every 3 months for the replaceable blade. This thing's running at, I can't remember, 7,000 RPMs. It's so, hear how quiet it is? It's very quiet. It's got a guide, because, you know, we're not talking necessarily smooth as a baby's butt. You might want, you know, you control. You got control. It's got a light for those darker areas. The Perfect Package is not just the Lawnmower 3.0. You also get the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver, and it all comes with this lovely shed travel bag. The Crop Reviver, oh, it smells good too. You smell, or like like an orange tree. It's kind of got a nice musky man smell to it. You also get these great magic mats. When I first got this, I thought, oh, this is a newspaper. It's not. Well, it is. In fact, it's pretty good reading, including, by the way, some excellent designs you might want to use. And there's a crossword puzzle. Fortune favors the well-groomed, but it's actually something you could spread these out, especially the first time you manscape. You might want to put this on the floor to gather up the detritus from the manscaping. Also in the Perfect Package, you get their Manscaped boxers. These are really nice performance boxer briefs with a proprietary microfiber blend. It's breathable, repels moisture, very comfortable. This is something every guy would love to get. Every guy would love to get the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. What a wonderful holiday gift for the guy in your life, the Sasquatch you're living with right now. Turn him into a civilized human being once again. Don't forget to check out the other products they offer. The nail kit, I've got one in here, the Shears 2.0. It's the best. Actually, my wife stole it. No, I have it here. It's the best nail trimming. I carry this with me in my briefcase. Look at this for a manicure kit. This is so awesome. It's got everything you need. The nail clippers, the scissors, cuticle scissors with this, no danger end there, the file and the tweezers. And it comes in this really nice compact case. That's their luxury nail kit. You also get the Weed Whacker. Guys, you got to get the Weed Whacker because hair starts coming out of the nose and the ears. And it's not disgusting, but it's not, you don't want to look like Gandalf. You want to clean that stuff up. The Weed Whacker is the best nose hair trimmer I've ever used for nose or ears. The Crop Cleanser Body Wash, it is a really wonderful set of tools they offer. Here's the deal. 20% off everything there, plus free shipping. Go to Manscaped, like plural, like Manscaped.com/twit. Make Santa proud this year. Honest to goodness, it's something my dad never told me, but once I found out about it, grooming is so important. It was my lovely wife who explained it to me. Get 20% off plus free shipping, manscaped.com/twit. We thank him so much for the support of the Tech Guy podcast and encourage you to check it out. Support us by going to manscaped.com/twit. Somebody suggested I get a chia pet to demonstrate this. That's a good idea. Next time. It's time once again for our car guy, Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, podcaster at Wheel Bearings Media. He's sitting in front of a car that matches my sweater, a bright red Ford Mustang Mach-E. You got to drive that Mach-E last week. Their first really purpose-built electric vehicle, right? It's not a...
It is, yeah. Actually, the red one in the picture is a Genesis GV70.
Oh, never mind.
Mach-E is the blue one in the corner.
Oh, they look similar, don't they? That fooled me.
Yeah, I mean, all
SUVs.
crossovers have some similarity to them.
Hello, Sam. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I did get a chance to drive it, but I can't talk about my driving impressions until December 15th. It's all under embargo because they want to give because they're with the pandemic going on. It's not like in the past where they would fly everybody into one location, let everybody drive it, and then let everybody talk about it. They're doing some regional drives around the country, and so they want to give everybody an equal chance to evaluate it before they release their impressions.
How exciting!
Yeah.
So we won't ask you about it, although you sent me an email that I appreciated. And I won't say anything, but it got me excited. Let's put it that way.
That's good. That's good to hear.
So why are you now? See, I see these ads for Hyundais, and this is a relatively new car manufacturer to the U.S., a Korean manufacturer, and the prices are very aggressive, and they seem like they're really nice cars.
They're yeah. I mean, Hyundai and Kia, are the two primary South Korean brands. They're all part of the same company. They're all part of the Hyundai Motor Group. And a few years ago, they launched a third brand called Genesis, which is their premium brand. And the thing about the Hyundai, Kia, and now Genesis is, when you compare them, you put them up against their direct competitors. They've always given really good value for money, and actually, in recent years, very high quality as well. Although they have had a few issues, but for the most part, they're very high quality, and they've always been great value for dollar. These days, most Hyundais and Kias, you're not actually saving a whole lot compared to the competition. They're typically priced about comparable to what any other vehicle in their segment is, but you still get a lot of features for the dollar, and they're good vehicles. But the reason why I have the GV70 up here as well as the Mustang Mach-E is what I wanted to talk about today was biometrics in your vehicle.
Do I need a fingerprint reader to get in?
Eventually that may well be the case. You may need a fingerprint reader.
That actually
or
might
you
be a good feature. Come to think of it. Yeah. Or
you may have Face ID like you do with your iPhone.
There have been security issues with the keyless fobs that a lot of companies have been using, with people able to intercept using a amplifier you can buy inexpensively online. If you're in your office and your car's out in the parking lot, they can amplify your key fob and actually look like you're standing next to the car, open the car, get in, drive away. So this has been a problem.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, the original radio frequency keyless entry systems that they had were subject to some issues with man-in-the-middle attacks, a relay attack. And you and Steve Gibson did a great episode on this.
Our security,
I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago on Security Now.
Yeah.
What they're actually looking at it for now on the GV70, it's got a fingerprint reader that can be used to authenticate things like payments for gas. When you go to the gas station.
Oh, I love that.
Tap your finger on the fingerprint reader and pay for the gas. For keyless entry, the direction that companies are moving is towards ultra wideband, which we saw at CES last January. We got a demo of that from NXP, and Volkswagen is starting to use that in Europe now, and we're going to start seeing it coming to North America probably next year. I think on the new VW ID4, it's probably going to have that ultra wideband system for its keyless entry. That is, and it's just, like the U1 chip on the iPhone that gives much more precise location, and it's much more secure than the RF systems that they've used in the past. But the other thing that we're seeing is this adoption of biometrics inside the vehicle for a variety of applications. You've already experienced one, Leo, a couple of years ago when we drove that Cadillac CT6 with their Super Cruise system.
Yeah, because it looked into your eyes, deep into your eyes.
Yeah, it had an infrared sensor that was looking to make sure that you were watching the road when you're using the hands-off.
I guess that's biometrics.
Yeah. And those systems are going to get more sophisticated. And on the Mach-E, it also has a similar system. It's a little bit more advanced than the one that was on the Cadillac, because it actually has two separate sensors that are looking at you from slightly different angles. So it's less susceptible to problems with being flooded by sunlight if the sun is shining over your shoulder. You can't actually see, like the sensors are in a pod on top of the steering wheel that you can see in the picture behind me, but you can't actually see the sensors on. However, the camera, when I took a photo of it, the camera actually did capture the infrared emitters. You can see there are little red dots on there. It actually captured those on the camera, but you can't see them with the naked eye. And so, what these are doing is they're looking at the driver to see where you're looking, to see if you're still paying attention. If you close your eyes, if you look away from the road, if you, take a nap, it will, sound an alert and get you back on track, get you watching the road again, because, you do have to supervise these systems. But, we've seen experiments over the last several years with other systems. Several years back, it was about 2013, Ford showed off what they called a driver workload monitor system, which it uses a variety of sensors to try to detect stress levels in the driver and make adjustments. So, for example, if there was a temperature sensor on the steering wheel, built into the steering wheel, as well as capacitive sensors. There was a heart rate monitor built into the seat belt, into the shoulder belt, and there was also just the capacitive sensors in the steering wheel and a few other sensors trying to detect if your stress levels were rising, indicating that you were in a situation on the road where you needed to pay more attention. And in that case, it would automatically engage things like the do not disturb feature in the infotainment, not put any calls through, and also adjust the radio volume, and maybe perhaps make adjustments to some of the thresholds for stability control or the driver assist systems to try to help keep you out of trouble. And as we go forward into automated driving systems, robotaxi systems are going to have other biometrics in the vehicle to look for, who's in the vehicle, if they've gotten sick. Actually, this Genesis GV70, it's got a radar sensor in the back seat that can detect if there's a child in the back seat, and actually detect the breathing of that child.
Our Bolt does that, but I think it's just weight. Says you left something in the back seat. But still, that's important. That's good.
Yeah, many of the systems in cars today are actually just using timers. It's looking for the sequence of doors closing.
Oh, so that's interesting.
If you got in the car and the back door opened and closed, and then you get out of the car, but the back door never opens again, it's making a guess that maybe someone or something was left behind and gives you an alert.
Interesting.
But this is a much more advanced system. There's actually a sensor looking for someone in the back seat.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, this is called computing at the edge. Our technology is pushing out into the things we use every day. And what better place, really, than a car? I guess there might be privacy concerns. What happens if you have fingerprint ID and a valet needs to drive the car? Do Do you register
Well, that's
him?
one of the things that you can do. Actually, you
Put it in
can
valet
use your
mode, I guess.
fingerprint to engage the valet mode.
Perfect.
So it limits the speed that the valet can drive, so they can't go off for a joyride in your car,
man,
things
you
like
can't
that.
get in my trunk, can't listen to my
Yeah.
music, and can't smoke pot, Mike. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm just okay. Thank you, Sam Abuelsamid, my car guy.
Thanks, Leo, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Very nice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Say hi to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. First of all, we're a family of ham radio operators. My dad was licensed in '63, and
Oh, that's great.
my wife, and both my sons were licensed in 2002.
Wow.
And my dad has Alzheimer's, and I had posted on a group about sending him QSL cards, and we have got buried in QSL.
Oh, isn't that great? Isn't that great?
Something to read over and over.
Oh, if I could find my QSL cards, I'd send you one. I don't know where they went. I'll have to look. I'll have to look and see if I can.
First thing on my comments besides that was, a number of years ago I called you about an old 16 millimeter movie camera my sons had given me for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And the first show I called in on, we had to cut it short because the end of the year airtime. And I called back the following week, and as soon as I called in, we had to go to a commercial break.
Oh, man.
But anyway,
this is the problem. It's a radio show, and it's a network radio show, and the time is very specific and concrete, and I got to do certain things. So I apologize. But you got 7 minutes. I'm all yours.
Okay. Well, at the time they gave me the movie camera, on the bottom of the camera was written a soldier's serial number and his rank.
Wow.
And with the unusual last name, of course, I had to do a search with the serial number. I found out he was killed in action August 1944 in Gazebo, France.
Wow.
With the last name, I actually tracked down a family member in Colorado and called, said, told him who I was, what I was looking for, and the wife said, "Oh, that's my husband's, one of my husband's ancestors."
Wow.
He got on the phone. We talked for about an hour or so. He sent me all sorts of documentation. The soldier, he was killed in action. I got a copy of the letter from the War Department to his mother where he was killed and receiving the Purple Heart. I got pictures of the Purple Heart. And his nephew actually said, "I have film that was shot with that camera."
No kidding.
The following Christmas,
Now, was it just a hobby? Was it just a hobby, or was he actually doing it in the service? Was he shooting film for the?
The camera never went overseas. As far as I know.
It was his personal camera.
It was his personal camera.
Got it.
But anyway, the following Christmas, I get home a few days, from work, and there's a box sitting in my living room, and his nephew had sent me the projector that went with the camera.
Holy cow!
And
Holy cow! I guess they didn't have any use for it, so that's great. That's nice.
He sent me letters from home that his uncle had written when he was in basic training.
Wow.
The postcard when he was sent to Great Britain says we have arrived in and
This is a great story. You should drop a line to 60 Minutes or maybe NPR's All Things Considered.
Well, it's getting ready to get better.
Really?
But anyway, the postcard was, where they arrived in Great Britain. His division was part of the D-Day invasion.
Holy cow.
He was killed before his division went into Paris after the diversion.
Wow.
The Germans fled. Film was not available for that camera. I've been searching and searching and searching. It's 16 millimeter double perf film. A few months ago, I found a source for film. So I ordered a roll, and coming up in the next few weeks here in Knoxville, where I live, and it's actually across the nation, is Wreaths Across America, where they place wreaths on grapes.
Oh.
And I'm filming that.
Oh, man. I could tell you're getting a little choked up. Wow. Are you going to send the film then off to the niece or the nephew?
I will do that.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So the camera's in pretty darn good shape if you're able to put film in it and shoot something. That's amazing.
Well, I had a roll of film that I was able to run through it, and just to run it, make sure the mechanism runs.
Right.
And everything runs fine. So that I'm getting ready to do.
That is beautiful. When is that Wreaths Across America event?
I think it's December 18th.
Oh, that is moving.
Yeah, they're doing it across all the national cemeteries.
That's wonderful. And so you know where his grave is?
Yes.
Is it in Knoxville or?
No. The soldier, from his serial number, I tracked him down. He was part of a National Guard unit out of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
And from the letter I got from the War Department, it had the address for his mother's home in Erie. And the house is still there. And you can tell from when the house was built how old it was. I have pictures of actually it's a family plot in Erie, Pennsylvania, in the cemetery of his grave marker.
That's funny. You know, when I was growing up, my mom always told me we had a family plot in Erie, Pennsylvania. My family's from that area.
So I'll send you a video I put together because
I would put it on YouTube. I think if you put it on YouTube, send me a link because we would share it with the audience because I'm sure they would like to see this. And you know, it's great to shoot it in that old 16 millimeter camera because I think it's going to look a little more vintage, don't you think?
Yeah, seeing the frame speed and stuff. There was a company I found. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was 40 ASA.
I see it. The Cine 16 40 ASA BW40. Will you shoot it in black and white?
Yeah, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Positive. So when I get it processed, it'll be in positive, and then I can get it. The same company will convert it. Wonderful. So I can get it converted to digital.
Wonderful. You're going to need a lot of light for that. That's a daylight,
it's a daylight film.
ISO 40 is very, very slow film, which is good. It's going to look gorgeous.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this cemetery is I had a great uncle that was at Pearl Harbor, and his grave and his wife's grave is at the main entrance to the cemetery. Wow.
This is a wonderful way to remember the greatest generation and the sacrifices that they made for all of us. That is, I think that's beautiful that you're doing it, Joe. And this is one of the reasons I love the ham community, the amateur radio community, because the best people, just the best people in it. And Joe, you're an exemplar. That's wonderful.
Yeah, the QSL cards, I've probably, since I posted on an RV ham group and a couple other groups, I've probably got over 1,000 QSL cards. And the last few months, I think the postman is wondering, why do we have the German invasion going on? I have probably got about 300 cards from Germany.
I'm going to ask you to send me an email. That's wonderful. I'm going to ask you to send me an email at leo@techguylabs.com, because what I want to do is we have, as you may know, a ham radio podcast called Ham Nation. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that they would like to get you on to share this story, and I bet we could get you a lot more QSL cards. Those are the cards hams send out to acknowledge that they spoke to one another, that they received the signal of another ham. And it's just a wonderful thing for your dad, I think. And I bet we could get a few hundred more for him.
Yeah.
So
my question was, I called, also asked about...
I only have a minute now. Hold on. Keep going quick, though. Okay. I don't want to cut you off again.
Somebody else mentioned about an audio problem with their microphone.
Yeah.
I'm having an audio problem on the icon. When I click on it from my speaker, it does not bring up the mixer functions or all that anymore, and that sends a Windows update.
Oh, thank you, Windows. Well, you can get to the sound mixer options directly from the Start menu in the control panel. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't just. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can right-click it and say Open Sound Settings, Open Volume Mixer. You're not seeing that anymore.
Nope.
The sound card might be third party. It may be that the Windows driver is not as good as the one from the sound card. Look in the device manager. See if you can figure out who made that sound card, and then go to their site. See if they have maybe something that's a little bit better. Pleasure talking to you. What a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, I think if you reinstall... We only had a little bit of time, and I feel bad. Oh, he's gone too. Oh, nuts. Oh, rats. Yeah, I think reinstall the third-party driver. Almost certainly will bring that mixer back, because those mixers are provided. I mean, Windows has its own, but, may well be a clobber. Yeah, and there may be the troubleshoot, though. It's not that he can't control it. It sounds like it's just the right click doesn't show the ability to get up the mixer. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. High-tech time. I hope you're into it. Hope you're ready. Website techguylabs.com. There's some of you who are saying, yeah, I'm ready. I want more. If you are a geek, I do the show on the weekends, but during the week we've got a podcast network that's very geeky, even more so than the show. It's called This Week in Tech, or TWiT, and the website, if you want to check it out, is twit.tv. There are podcasts about every possible geeky subject there. TWIT.tv. Doug's on the line, calling from West Hollywood. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Leo. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm a voice teacher, and I think you're just a really great broadcaster. You just have a great cadence to your voice, and just the way you have those velvety onsets of vocal tones just really ring through so well.
Gosh. Do you teach singing or elocution?
I teach singing, and as through the quarantine time, I've had to move online, and my MacBook Air of 2011 and my iMac 9 just haven't really cut it, because I've had to connect the MIDI keyboard and audio interface, GarageBand working, and if I'm working with somebody across the globe, my mail has to be open, so the fan is blowing, it's getting real hot, so I'm upgrading to the M1. I'm really looking forward to it.
You're a perfect case for that kind of thing, because the thing the M1 is amazing at, these giant workloads, very powerful processor with I have the MacBook Pro 13. I haven't heard the fan turn on at all. It's got the same fan as its Intel brother, exactly the same part, but you don't hear it. Barely gets warm even with major workloads. It's quite impressive, and it's a very fast device. So,
well, I'm really excited about it. I've been part of the Apple ecosystem since before the iPhone, which is part of my problem, because one of my backups since way back when, all the files are sort of segmented, and so I have iPhotos, for instance, and it says you want to switch to current iPhotos library, from Photos library to Photos library, and of course I have to open iPhotos to see the photos. My iCloud account just shows photos from right before the first iPhone in 06, which was. Do you
have the old computer still?
Yes.
So one way to do this, it would be just temporarily buy more storage and turn on iCloud Photos on the old computer. Actually, what operating system are you using on that? It's got to be Mojave or later, I'm sure, right?
The old operating system, I'm not in front of it right now, but I don't think it's the current thing.
If it's still iPhotos, you might want to. First thing you might want to do is update that machine, the 2011 Air, to the latest it'll go to. It might. Probably won't go to Catalina, but it certainly won't go to Big Sur. But it might go to Mojave. At which case you'll get the new photos, and then do that process on that computer, which is going to take a while, and then you turn on iCloud Photos. Because how did you copy this? How did you back this stuff up that it's chopped up into files? It must have been a non-Mac tool.
Through Time Machine.
Oh, Time Machine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, even when I'm logged into my iCloud, which I have storage there too, I have photos from 06, and then it jumps to 2012.
Hey.
And so I know that those files exist on these hard drives, but I just don't know how to drag and drop those things over, because each time that I'm just replacing, I'm not adding to.
Yeah. So the way the photos are stored with iPhotos is in a big blob called your library, but inside that blob, the actual folder is called, I think in the older version of iPhotos, it's called Original Photos.
Okay.
So what you'll do is go into your pictures folder on the old machine. You don't want to copy that blob. You just want to copy the individual photos. You go into the pictures folder on the old machine. You right-click on the iPhoto library because that looks like a single file. It's not. It's a folder.
Okay.
If you right-click on it and select Open Contents, then, it's a folder. And inside, you'll see a bunch of things, including one folder with the original photos in it. That's what you want. That's the thing you need to copy.
Yes. That sounds good. Thank you. You talked me down off the cliff.
Yeah. So they have a migration assistant, but honestly, I think, and Time Machine, they say you can restore from Time Machine. I've never been a fan. You could do this yourself. Those are the most important things, and it'll be easy to get them back.
That sounds good. You're very clear. Just one thing about iTunes. There's some files that say they're not eligible, and so I have things like voice lessons that consist of either from GarageBand or from the voice.
Yeah, you made them yourself. Yeah.
But they're shadowed out. I can't access them. And those must be in my backup too. But I can't access them from iTunes.
Oh, how
so I need
frustrating.
Music file application, I think.
Did you pay for iTunes Match at any point?
No.
Okay. That's $25 a year. They still offer that. What Match ostensibly did was match any songs that you purchased from iTunes back when they had copy protection, replace, or even songs you didn't purchase but are lower quality, replace them with high quality 256 kilobit AACs.
Yes.
And one of the other things it did is, and then it allowed you to upload all of those to the cloud. One of the other things it did is if it couldn't match them, it just uploaded the originals. It won't be able to match yours, obviously. So it just uploaded those.
Okay. That was called Music at one time, wasn't it?
No, it's called iTunes Match.
Okay.
And it's something you buy within iTunes. It's a $25 subscription. You don't need to buy it year after year. Once you use it once, you've done it. And that was the feature that allowed you to not only replace all your stuff, but upload your music library to the cloud. And now it sounds like you might have done that because you see them in the cloud. It has a little cloud next to it and a downward arrow, but they're grayed out. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
That's bizarre. I don't know why you can't download it. You don't mind spending $25 for this, I'm thinking.
That's right.
Okay. What's the bit rate on those? Somebody in the chat room said, that's a good point, Knox Harrington. What's the bit rate on those? Because it has to be 96 kilobits for it to upload them.
Okay.
If the sample rate is lower, and it might be 64 because it's mono, or 32, you can easily, in iTunes, on wherever they exist for real, you have a copy still somewhere, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
If you can get the original copy, you can convert them to 96 without any, just automatically in iTunes. And then it'll upload them to iTunes Match. I see. So the real issue is you don't have the originals anymore, and the only copy it seems that you have is in iCloud. But I'm wondering if you even have it. It might just be an empty entry.
I understand what you're saying about the conversion. I mean, I haven't deleted anything, and as I say, I've been part of the ecosystem forever.
But the point, what I'm thinking is it's not in the cloud.
No.
And so it shows it, but it says, I can't download it for you because I don't have a copy. It was in your library, and so it's in the index, and we know about it, but we don't have a copy of it, is I think what it's saying. So if you don't have the original, what you really want to do is find those gosh darn originals.
Yeah.
Because that was not a good backup, in other words. It was a failed backup.
So, but that original file may exist on the external hard drive.
Oh, it should, unless you actively deleted it. They don't delete it.
No. So my task is, before the M1 comes, is to go through all my...
Well, here's what I would do before the M1 comes. Get a program like Super Duper or Copy Cloner. I'm a fan of Super Duper from Shirt Pocket Software.
Okay.
And use Super Duper to back up that drive on the 2011 MacBook Air. That does unlike Time Machine, it does a real backup that's going to look identical to the original, and you're going to have an external drive now with all your files on it. A, now you have a backup of everything. B, that external drive can then be plugged into your new M1 Mac, and you just take whatever files you want off of it.
That makes sense.
That's a better way to do it.
That sounds good.
Yeah, you can use SuperDuper. I prefer to use a tool rather than just drag and drop because it's going to get everything. It's going to back up everything. Carbon Copy Cloner will do it. There's a program called ChronoSync that will do it. If you are really handy at the command line, the tool that you need is there already, but it's a command line utility called rsync, RSYNC. And I think all of these programs are really front ends to rsync. This is everybody who has a Mac should probably learn how to use the command line, the terminal, and then if you're going to learn one command, learn rsync. It stands for remote sync. It is the basic tool that does all this cloning, but it actually moves the files, and it does it very efficiently. And it has validation, so you don't think you copied it and you didn't. It's really good. It's what I've started using now for everything. But you have to be comfortable with the command line.
Does your hands-on Mac program, do you cover that in some episodes?
I don't think we ever got to rsync. No. Maybe I will, though, because that really is such a good tool. Everybody should know about that. Carbon Copy Cloner is a front end to rsync, basically. But if you're uncomfortable with the command line, then get Carbon Copy Cloner or SuperDuper.
Sounds good. Thank you, Leo.
My pleasure. And thank you for the kind words.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, Doug. 8888 Ask Leo. That's one of our podcasts, Hands on Mac. I love to get in the nitty gritty, and I apologize but if you have a Mac and you haven't yet looked at the command line, this would be a good time to do it. And really, an excellent time to learn one command that I've always been a little nervous about, a little scared of. It seems like a very, black diamond, high end, you got to be an expert command, but boy, is it useful. RSYNC. And you're going to have to, if you're on a Mac and you open the terminal, you could type MAN for the manual, MAN space rsync, and it'll give you a many-page manual explaining how it works. It's a little abstruse. I'm sure there's online, there's pages that the easy guide to rsync, worth learning. That is an amazingly useful tool. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls coming up. The Tech Guy Podcast brought to you this week by Twilio. Love the Twilio. The world's changing fast, and if you have customers, you want to have new ways to communicate, to help, to support them, Twilio is the answer. Engage customers wherever they are on any channel they want, from text messages to emails to phone calls to video and more in one single powerful platform. And man, Twilio... if you're a developer, I'm sure you've heard about Twilio. I've actually had a Twilio account for years for all my side projects. It's really amazing. But these guys are the big guys. 795 billion interactions across channels with 5 nines of uptime. That's 99.999% uptime. Over 3 billion phone numbers available worldwide in 100 countries. So many great stories about people who use Twilio. I'll give you an example or two. Shopify. We all know Shopify. They run their entire global contact center, that's more than 1 million customers, on Twilio's Flex platform. That's their programmable contact center solution. Blue Apron, we talk about them all the time. They do newsletters. They power those newsletter emails with Twilio's SendGrid. Netflix, you use Netflix. You ever use two-factor authentication? Twilio. Netflix keeps your account safe with Twilio two-factor. You ever use Authy? We talk about Authy all the time. That's Twilio too. Ride-sharing and contactless delivery services like Lyft and Uber. You get that text message, your driver's on the way. It's, say it with me, Twilio. Project and operations teams use Twilio to create new ways to communicate with their users inside applications. They got an amazing API, ranging from account notifications with text messaging to even to things like chatbots. And, of course, two-factor. Marketing teams use Twilio to get the word out, connecting with leads over text messaging and phone calls, and send campaigns over email and chatbots to answer questions. Customer service teams use that great Twilio Flex to build global contact and support centers. For developers, it's what you need. It's what you need to get started to build your next thing. And you don't have to be a telecommunications guru to use it. Just a few lines of code. It's built by developers for developers. They build in the telecom knowledge, so you don't have to worry about that. In fact, if you already know how to do web applications, you know how to use Twilio. That's one of the reasons I have it for my pet projects. Actually, been working on a chat bot, but shh, don't tell anybody. They can build apps. If they can build web apps, they can build Twilio apps that text, call, chat, video conference, that do it all. Twilio does the back end and makes it easy. Strengthen your customer relationships by uniting communications across your entire business. Go to Twilio.com to learn more today. That's TWILIO.com. Twilio. It's time to build. Now back to the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Just a little touch of gray. That's all. 8888 Ask Leo. Jeff's on the line from Los Angeles. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good. I want to ask you a question. I hope you don't think it's a dumb question, but I ask my friends this all the time, and I just want to get an answer that I guess it satisfies me. So there's 1 million people out there, let's say, that own an Echo Dot. I'll just use that as an example. And you were talking about privacy this morning.
Sidewalk. We were talking about this new Sidewalk mesh network that Amazon is launching.
Right, but privacy in general, like who cares? I know it's funny, but
it's not a dumb question. It's a great question. I ask it all the time.
Like if you're in your kitchen and you're saying, "Hey, I just had an affair with the neighbor," and Amazon hears it.
Who cares? So what? Some guy in Seattle now knows you're getting it on. Well, who cares? So I kind of agree with you on this. And I ask this question all the time about privacy. It's a really interesting. First of all, privacy is a relatively new concept in the last 100 or so years. For millennia, humans have shared bedrooms. You didn't sleep. Having your own bedroom was a nutty idea. There was no privacy. There's no privacy in the Constitution. It's not in the Bill of Rights. Privacy is a modern concept. So that's the first thing to start off with. Is it's a construct we've made up. Now, I think it's everybody's right to say, well, look, I want a door on my bathroom, and I'm not going to sleep in a common bedroom. We're not medieval knights. I want my own place. And it's completely legitimate to say that. I even respect people who say, I don't like the idea of having a Google microphone or an Amazon microphone. Of course, the first thing I point out is, well, do you carry a smartphone? Yeah. This is the world's best spy device. Not only does it have a microphone and camera, but it's always connected to the internet, and it's got a GPS built in. And in fact, I just saw a survey that something like 80% of Americans said, yeah, the police ought to have a search warrant to be able to get your GPS coordinates. They don't need one. They don't need a warrant of any kind. There's a portal that every phone company is set up for law enforcement that they could say, hey, where was Leo on the night of December 10th, 1992? And they say, well, we know exactly because his phone told us. So I understand people don't like that idea. And there are certainly issues. For instance, law enforcement of late has been asking Google for a kind of, I think, a really overbroad warrant. And courts have not done much to stop this, where they say to Google, look, a convenience store was robbed on Thursday night. I would like to know, Google, everybody who was within 200 feet of that store between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m. And Google knows that. Because most people don't turn off location, right, on Google, because you use maps and stuff. So what do you think of that? Should law enforcement be able to say, hey, I want to know everybody's within 200 feet of that store?
100%. If you're not doing anything wrong and you're within that many feet of the store and you were just home, so what?
But but then there's a certain presumption of guilt. Well, you were nearby. Now we're going to go talk to everybody who was nearby. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I actually don't have a strong opinion on this, but I understand that's one of the things that bothers people.
Well, that's what detective work is about. Of course they're going to go talk to him.
Yeah, but that's the difference. Technology allows them to do something much more broad than they used to do.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the
I know,
issue.
I just think it's silly. I have a friend. Listen to this. I have a friend who used to, I'm telling you, every time she came home, she put a towel over the camera on her laptop.
Yeah. There have been numerous people who have been arrested because there was a grainy picture of a robbery. And it's often people of color because, unfortunately, face recognition is usually trained with white folk. If you're black, it doesn't do a good job of recognition. There's a guy who spent 3 nights in jail because he was misidentified by face recognition. Police cameras. See, there are hazards, I guess is what I'm saying. I have an Echo and a Google and a phone in my pocket, and I don't cover up the cameras. So I'm with you on that. But I also understand people who say, how far do we want to go down this road? It's kind of complicated, and I'm with you. But I guess what I would say is it's your right to say I don't care.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Leo, so much.
Great question. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, sir.
It's your absolute right not to care. And say, I'm going to use those things. And so one of my fears is that privacy advocates will, and I guess this is to some degree happening, will prevent. Yeah, I don't think that's privacy, Mike. That's your right not to not be, to have your stuff seized or searched. That's not privacy. That's the closest we come to privacy in the Constitution. The word privacy doesn't appear. The notion that, because they didn't anticipate this technology being able to do this. I think that's a broad interpretation of the Fourth Amendment to say that's the privacy clause. I know that that's a common interpretation, but it's alluded to. And it's not all privacy. It doesn't mention, is it a violation of the Fourth Amendment for a convenience store to have cameras? Or the police to have cameras at every intersection? Or even for Amazon to have a microphone in your house. Is that a violation? No. Because all this refers to is the government can't search your premises without a probable cause. But that's not broad enough to cover all privacy. So this is the issue. And for me, the only reason it's an issue, I think everybody has the right to say, look, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want an Amazon Echo in my house. That's completely reasonable. I don't disagree with that. I choose to, but people don't. My wife won't let me have an Echo with a camera in the bedroom. I understand that. Doesn't bother me, but I understand. I have one with a closet. What does concern me is that hardcore privacy advocates might impinge, in fact, on my rights to have things like Amazon Echoes because they're going to say, well, you can't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce our photo sensei himself, Mr. Chris Marquardt. He's a digital photography guru. He teaches at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. Someday soon, in the next year or so, you'll be able to start those workshops up again. I can't wait.
Well, I do them virtually at least.
Yeah, but I want to go to Svalbard and take pictures of ice-encrusted boats and polar bears. Chris also is our personal digital photography expert, joins us every week. Every month he gives us an assignment, a word to illustrate with your camera. And I'm looking at the pictures uploaded to the Tech Guy pool on Flickr to illustrate the word or concept texture. And what a great assignment this was. There is a lot of texture out there in the world.
So much great stuff. Thank you everyone who submitted a photo. It's always, every month we do these assignments. It's so much fun to see how people care, and they take some effort, and they take photos and they upload them, and it's not just a simple click thing. So it means they really have to put a little bit effort in it, and that works so well, and I'm so happy about that.
So many. Thank you, everybody.
Texture assignment.
Now, you picked three you want to talk about. Yeah.
Exactly. And the first one I chose is by David Pardo, and he calls it texture. And so the pictures I chose are all have something in common, and I think you can feel the texture by just looking at the pictures. They are very visceral. They're very. I mean, this is some plant or some seeds of plants. You know, these fluffy things.
Looks like milkweed
and
something. Yeah,
something along those lines. And you can really literally feel it by just looking at it. You know exactly what it's like. You know how it's going to behave. The texture is very fluffy, very simple. The light helps. In this case, the light coming from the back brings out these little hairs in those little seeds. And
is this a macro?
Good job.
Photo? Do you know?
Let's check the EXIF data. If the photographer didn't disable it, Flickr gives you EXIF data, which is the metadata of the picture. Yeah. And he used a Nikon D5200.
50 millimeter.
It's a 50 millimeter. Well, it's a lens at 50 millimeter. F3.5. So looking at the distance, I mean, it's a very close photo. So there is definitely not much in focus behind it at this aperture. If you get really close with the lens, you get a lot of
depth of field,
unsharp points.
Yeah, bad depth of field, low depth of field. Bokeh.
Not bad. Not bad. There's a reason. We should do an entire episode about bokeh.
That's a Japanese word, but it's just the blurry background. But that's one of the things that makes people look at a photo and say, "Oh, that's professional," because until recently, people didn't have access to the kinds of cameras that could give you a crisp
and now it's not called bokeh anymore. Now it's not called bokeh anymore. Now it's called portrait mode.
Normal. Yeah.
There you go.
Portrait mode. Yeah. All right. That's good. Thank you, Dave.
Second photo.
Yes.
Is by Rockabilly Hog, wet cement texture.
And I love this.
Photographically, it's not very exciting. You know, it's a picture of wet cement, but something was lifted off the cement and it left this pattern.
Looks like ocean waves in wet cement.
It does, and the texture. I mean, wouldn't you like to squeeze that cement through your fingers? Yeah. I mean, it's such a basic kind of thing that kids love doing.
This is interesting because it really is. It's not the photo that makes this great. It's just the thing he took a picture of that makes it great.
It's a texture picture. It is really, you can literally feel it between your fingers, or step in it with your bare feet, which I wouldn't probably do. But
would there be, if you saw this, how would you take a picture of this? Is there anything you would do to make it more artistic?
Well, no, but you can definitely bring out the wetness of the cement by, for example, looking at where the light is coming from. If the light's coming from behind of it, then you will get a lot more reflections.
He did do that, so it would be flatter if he didn't position the camera properly. Yeah.
And that's kind of the main important thing. And then, of course, the framing. You could make this a bit more interesting by framing it even closer. Yeah. So the context would be gone, and then it would be more of an abstract kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
There are cement layers. I don't know what you call that person in the audience who are saying that cement is way too wet. Somebody really blew it. Chumley says, "This angers me."
Oh well, but it makes for a nice photo.
It's a great picture.
Yep. And then last but not least, the third picture by Gregory Chesney. They all fall down. It's a picture of fallen leaves in fall. Brown leaves on the ground.
Yeah. And this would be a good wallpaper because it's just the leaves.
It's just the leaves, and the light is nice, the colors are nice, and the texture. Again, you can hear in front of your inner ear. You can hear the sound they make when you walk through them. Yeah. So it's a mixture of a visual texture and acoustic texture, and it's all happening in your head by looking at that photo.
It would be when I look at a picture like this. In fact, all of the texture pictures, I think, great jigsaw puzzle. That'd be a good, challenging jigsaw puzzle, the fall leaves. Nice job. All three of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some good This is a crazy idea. I know, folks. We're talking about something you can't see on the radio, but we will put a link up in our show notes at techguylabs.com so you can see these images. They're all public images on flickr.com. In fact, you can also just go to the Tech Guy group at flickr.com and see all the submissions from this and other previous assignments. Now would be a good time, Chris, to give us a new assignment.
Well, this new assignment comes from our moderator, Renee Silverman, and she suggested, well, we're going by the alphabet, so the next one is U, and she suggested ugly.
Oh!
Now, hold on.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I want to have two restrictions in that. First of all, no people.
No selfies.
No people.
No people. We don't want to insult anybody.
Renee will enforce that because we don't want to embarrass anyone.
No pictures of Leo in there, please. I beg of you. Okay.
Yeah, and the second restriction is no sweaters.
Because it is
Christmas time, you know.
The time of ugly Christmas sweaters.
Time.
Yes. It is that time. So that would be too obvious. Are pets okay?
Exactly.
Pets would be okay.
There are probably some ugly pets out there.
There's some ugly pets out there. We have an ugliest dog contest we used to. Didn't have it this summer, but every summer in Petaluma. And man, those dogs are ugly. So take a picture ugly. And, let's be creative. Let's not just, do something that's ugly. Let's think about what could that mean? Once you get an image you like, you can upload as many as one per week. And this is generally about a 4-week assignment. So, pick wisely. Can't be an old picture. It's got to be something new because the whole point of this is to get you out there to taking pictures. Once you find an image you like, go to flickr.com. That's the photo sharing site we love. In fact, we're all pro members. You don't have to be to participate. You can have a free membership. Upload it. Make sure you tag it, though. That's one of the things that Flickr is so good at. In fact, they pretty much invented this whole notion of tagging pictures. The tag for this would be TG, for Tech Guy, TG Ugly. TG Ugly, and then submit it to the Tech Guy group. You'll know you're in the right place. Join the Tech Guy group. You have to join it first, and you'll know you're in the right place because there's, 13,000 plus members. There's a lot of pictures. There's a picture of me, ugly, on the front page. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you. You can upload one per week, and in 4 weeks, Chris will pick a couple to talk about on the radio. You'll find Chris Marquardt at Sensei, Sensei, sensei.photo. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Leo.
Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm just an observation. I don't know where that came from. 8888 Ask Leo. Ever since Jethro Tull, it's who is this? Some hippie. Marshall Tucker. Did they have a flute? I guess they did. I guess they did in this one anyway. You don't think of Marshall Tucker Band and flute in the same sentence very often. Kirk is on the line from Phoenix, Arizona. Our next caller. Hello, Kirk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I'm a longtime listener.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm 70 years old. I take a walk every day, and when I can't listen to you live, I'm listening to your podcast, and I can usually get through a weekend's worth during my walks.
I think we're a healthy habit for you then.
It is a healthy habit.
That's nice.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what my problem is. I have a Dell XPS 3-year-old or so, fabulous computer.
I'm a fan. Now, do you have the desktop or the laptop?
Oh, the laptop. Got it because when I take photographs and I'm traveling, I back up to my laptop.
Yep, I do the same thing. It's really nice to have that, and then from the laptop, I can, if I want to, and I often do, back up to an external drive. So now I have 3 copies: the original on the memory card, my laptop copy, which I'm editing, and a backup, which I keep in my carry-on. So, or actually, that's on my checked luggage, I think. So that's a great idea.
Well, backups are really important. I had a scare about 19 years ago when I retired, and I had an old desktop tower, and my hard drive seized up, and I had not backed up. I took one good hard whack on the side. The hard drive spun up. I backed up, and that hard drive never started again.
We call that percussive maintenance. And And it's actually used to happen on those spinning drives. They'd call it stiction. The head would get stuck to the surface, and a little whack on the side would release it, but you were smart to back up immediately.
Ever since, I've had carbonite, which I've had to use once.
Good man.
To back up another hard drive that failed.
Yep.
And since that time, I also have a hard drive, which I back up about every 2 months or so as well. So it's belts and suspenders, but it's better to have too many than not enough.
Are you an amateur photographer, or do you do it for a living?
No, amateur.
Just for fun. But even then, our photos are important to us.
They are, and I did it because I was going to get a device to download my photos, and I decided since I like to take my computer, let's get a small, lightweight computer.
Perfect.
It's fabulous.
Perfect.
I can edit while I'm going and such.
I'm a fan. I buy a new Dell XPS almost every year. My XPS 13 is about my favorite laptop out there. I just love it.
Yeah, it's great. Its size is wonderful. So I'm having a problem on my Windows computer. It's my Dell XPS, which I dock to a home system here. I have Windows 10, just like my iPhones and my Windows. I do not install every update. I always wait for a little bit to see if there are issues, and then I update. This year, I did not update my first half update for the year for the Windows. And when the second half came out, I went ahead and I updated. And I have had a problem ever since with my Microsoft Outlook.
Oh, that's too bad. Ironically, you did the thing I would have recommended. It's always a good idea to wait. These feature updates are not required as long as you're getting the security updates. Features can wait. And skipping 2004 was a very good idea. It was a nasty update with lots of problems. 20H2, which is the one you just got, installed 2004 and then installed the fixes that made 2004 reliable. But I'm sorry that it's broken your Outlook. What happened?
Well, what happens with my Outlook? When I boot my computer, I open up Outlook and I can get all my emails. That's just fine. Usually about 5 or 10 minutes later, if I decide to update, do the send and receive on my Outlook, I get a send and receive error. And I constantly then get the little dialog boxes saying that I need to insert my password. The password section is blanked out. The box that says save my password has an X. So, of course, I have to go into my LastPass, which I use, which is fabulous. It's a fabulous program. Everyone ought to have.
Another great sponsor. That. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's a sponsor, but it's fabulous.
So sometimes this happens. There are two servers you communicate with generally for your email. There's the inbound server, which is usually these days IMAP. In the old days, it was a POP server. And then there's the outbound server, which is the SMTP. The SMTP server will usually have a different port. It may have different credentials. Usually it'll have the same login that you're using for your email provider in general. Who does the email for you? Is it Outlook itself, or?
I believe it does. I use AOL.
Oh, it's AOL.
But and I use POP.
Yeah.
And I have about a 12.5 gigabytes of data in my PST file, which could be an issue.
No. This is an SMTP issue with AOL.
Thing on my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is, you're right, it's heavy, and my iPad, I never have a problem.
Yeah. This is a setting in your Outlook for your outbound email for AOL, and it probably has to do with AOL changing their settings. It could have also to do with your internet service provider changing. Remember, one of the things that happens with outbound mail, that's how spam is sent. And so internet service providers, for a long time, internet service providers just looked the other way. They said, people want to send spam. It's too much trouble for us to prevent that. But over time, I think the security community and users have finally convinced ISPs that they shouldn't allow spam to come out of their servers. And so one of the ways they do that is by blocking the outbound SMTP ports. This is something Comcast really didn't want to do for a long time. They're the biggest ISP in the country because they knew that it would cost them millions of dollars in support calls from people just like you who would call them up and say, what happened? I can't send mail anymore. So one of the things that could have happened is Outlook, if you look in your Outlook settings, you'll see the settings for the SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol server. You want to check and see what the port it specifies is. Port 25, which is the default port, is probably blocked by your ISP, and that might be something new. AOL will accept 25 or 465. So the first thing to do is to go into your settings and see if your port is 25 and just see if 465 works. That may work. I believe AOL has also, and I think this might be more likely, changed their security settings because we've been getting a lot of AOL complaints. And I think that this has to do with authenticating. It probably has a lot to do with blocking spam. So one of the things that happens, users get infected, they get malware on the machine, and one of the things malware does sometimes is turn your machine into a relay for spam. Spammers have this problem. They can't, there's not many companies will let them send spam, millions of emails a day of junk mail. So they prevent them, they block them. So what do? They go to malware authors and say, hey, can you get us some computers? And so AOL may have changed their security settings. This might warrant a call to AOL. But first thing I do is change the port to 465, see if it's your internet service provider. If it is, that'll fix it. If it's not, you need to call AOL and say, look, give me the new settings. Yeah, this was an issue with AOL, I remember. But I think the first thing to do is make sure your ISP hasn't changed their port settings. Sorry, I ran out of time there, but that's the fundamental answer.
Who would my ISP be? Because I have a Gmail account and another account, and they all seem to freeze. Now,
that's interesting. Now, the other solution would be to take Outlook and say, send all my mail through Gmail or something that works. But you're saying outbound mail doesn't work on anything.
No, inbound mail generally is the problem. But
it's inbound, but not in this one problem. You said it was outbound, right?
It just stops everything. It won't take any inbound or outbound.
Oh. Okay. Who is your ISP, you're saying? I don't know. How do you get online?
I use Cox.
Okay, they're your ISP. Cox, like Comcast.
Now, Cox did a major update about 2 weeks ago, about the same time I did this. That is, there wasn't enough service. I used a Chrome program to monitor all my disconnects, and I was getting 100 to 150 disconnects a day. And
well, it's about time they fixed that.
It was about time.
Holy cow.
There were other people here because it went on for months.
Yeah. So that's one thing. There is one other thing. Remember that AOL got sold to Verizon not so long ago, last year. Mm-hmm. And Verizon did change some things with the AOL security. And there's another one that might be biting you, and that is the password is no longer the same one you use to log in via your browser. So the password you put in Outlook will not be the same password you use to log into your mail on the browser. It will be a different password.
Well, AOL told me that if I used an app, they sent something that said, if you use an app, you need to get a new password.
That's right.
I went on.
It's what's called an application-specific password. And so you went online and you got that password?
I did get that password. Now, should I use the other password? No, I use that new password when I'm putting in to put into Outlook.
That's what you use in Outlook. That's right. Make sure you do that.
Right, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it says save password, but then I'll go in and try and find in the Microsoft settings passwords, and it says there are no passwords saved.
Yeah. Okay. So when you try to send mail, it pops up a dialog says, "What's the password?" In that case, you have to use that newly generated application-specific password. It's specific.
It's the only one I'm using for any device now. Is I'm only using the new one on my iPhones, no problem, and on my desktop with Outlook, no problem.
Yeah.
Or a problem. So, I mean, I have read online people had this problem in the past.
Yeah, this is when Verizon bought AOL. This all changed. So, but it sounds like you're having other issues as well with your Outlook.
It sounds like it, and I'm scared to death of changing my profile.
Well, here's the question: you can get to your AOL mail in the browser just fine, right?
Actually, I haven't even. Oh, yeah.
Okay, man, that's good.
It does an excellent job blocking most of the spam.
Yeah, so that's good. So you can still access your mail. So at least you're not completely locked out.
Oh, I can do it on my iPad and my iPhone.
And you can do it there. It's just this Outlook. And are there any other issues with Outlook? You're saying it freezes up even when you're downloading mail. It freezes up.
If I do a send and receive, it first is checking either the Gmail or the other account first. And, when you look for the detail, it pops up, we have a problem with this one, we have a problem with this one, and then it basically times out. It's timing out on each of those.
Oh.
Before it even gets to my AOL.
So it sounds like all of them you're having trouble with.
Exactly.
Your Outlook is not working right anymore.
But when I go into my settings and I go to each one and I say repair, I come up with a dialog box. It asks me to put my password in. I put my passwords in, all three, and then I can get my email.
Interesting. But only that time, and then the next time it forgets it.
Exactly. It keeps forgetting my passwords.
Yeah. That's interesting. So Outlook's working, but it's not saving your passwords, it sounds like, is the...
That is the exact problem.
And when you say Outlook, you're talking about the Outlook, not the web-based, but the Outlook program that comes with Microsoft Office, right?
I use Office 365.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and I make sure those are all updated.
So this is a Microsoft support document that says, when you try, you're continually prompted for credentials while the client displays a trying to connect message. Sounds like what you're seeing, right?
Yeah, and I think I read that, but it was that topic related to Exchange.
Yes, I'm looking at that one. Yep.
And when I try and see that, I can't see anything about credentials.
No, because this is for Exchange servers only. Yeah.
Right, and I'm not on Exchange.
No, you're on AOL.
AOL and Gmail.
Do you have any security software that you run, antivirus software, anything like that?
Not anymore.
Good.
I use regular Windows.
Yeah, sometimes, Norton and stuff.
The one that you recommended.
Yeah, it can get in the way.
Right.
ESET wouldn't, but Norton sometimes can get in the way because it's trying to protect you. Yeah.
I used to use ESET and I stopped because I think you said, Windows.
You don't really need it. Yeah, you don't really need it. If you were in a high-risk environment, maybe, but if you had a teenager using your system, maybe, but
right.
You're not going to.
I use a VPN all the time.
Oh, good. Well, okay, VPN could. Now turn off the VPN and see if you have the same problem. I wonder if that could.
I have tried that.
Okay.
I still have the problem.
Okay.
You pick these things one off at a time.
Yes, exactly. That's how we troubleshoot. We eliminate possible causes.
Right.
So it really does sound like, for some reason, Outlook is not saving the password, because it really works fine if you hand enter the password. You just don't want to do that each time.
should I uninstall and reinstall Outlook?
No, I wouldn't. There is a diagnostic on that page. I don't know if you tried that. Let me see. Why does Outlook keep prompting for password? Here's another one. Apparently, there is a setting. Believe it. That's an Exchange setting, though. I don't think that's it. You know, I have to run because we're starting at the next hour.
Should I post the question in the chat?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, I will do that. Hey, thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't fix it. All right, take care. Appreciate it, Kirk. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, 888-827-5536. If you're outside that area, you can still call. Just use Skype out or something like that and let you call a phone from somewhere else in the world using the internet, and that should be free. 8888 Ask Leo. There's a website, techguylabs.com. Everything from the show goes there thanks to my scribe, James DeRuvo, who's writing it down. We even put audio and video from the show afterwards. So if you hear something and you want to know more, you can check the website. That's free. There's no sign up, techguylabs.com. If you have a suggestion, we were talking with Kirk about his Outlook not sending email. We had a lot of different suggestions. If you have a suggestion, there's a couple of ways you can, help us out because we're all in this together. It's kind of like a big user group of the airwaves. You can call and get on the air that way. It's sometimes hard to do. It's a lot of work. There's a chat room. Kirk's in there right now. We sent him over to the irc.twit.tv chat room, and that's a great place. Smart people in there can help you out. You can also go to the website and leave a comment. Say, hi, I know what's going on. This happened to me, and that kind of thing. We do ask you to sign in using your Google or Facebook or Twitter or some other kind of account to leave a comment. We're just trying to slow down spammers. Doesn't always work, but anything to help. 8888 Ask Leo. George in Los Angeles is next. Hi, George.
Oh, hi, Leo.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
It's my pleasure talking to you.
You're my last-ditch effort on this problem, so let's see what you can do for me.
Oh, boy. All right. Pressure's on. Go ahead.
Well, don't look at it that way. I've got an older HP laptop. It's a TouchSmart TM2.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah.
And, I like the computer. I use it in my garage to manage my eBay store, and I want to keep it with Windows 7.
Okay.
And I made a decision to do the system restore again. It was having some issues. I thought a restore might fix it.
That's one of the nice things about Windows is you can do that. It refreshes the whole thing. What happened?
Well, yeah, it is a nice thing when it works.
Yeah. What happened?
So, I have 4 of the discs that I made years ago when I first got set up for the restore, and I've used them, so they worked. This time they didn't. And I've made several attempts to do it using some different things that I've tried using Google to search for an error that I got the last time I did it.
So you basically have a non-functioning laptop at this point, right?
Well, at this point, it will load Windows.
Okay.
It comes up with a sign-on screen that has the administrator login.
Yeah.
But when I try to log in, it says the account is locked. Contact your administrator.
Was this a company laptop at any point?
No.
Did you buy it new?
Yeah, I bought it new with everything on it.
But it was never under corporate control, because that's what you're seeing. Try putting no password in, see what happens.
Yeah, I've tried everything.
Okay, that didn't work either.
And it's only doing this after I tried using the restore.
Yeah.
Now, let me bring this up. The system restore accepted all 4 of the disks, and then it went through the setup and it did the registry. It was showing me certain things it was doing. And then it got to a point where it said the restore was unsuccessful and it failed. and it said certain things like, do you want to continue? Do you want to cancel? Do you want to go and get a copy of the error log, which I can't really do.
No, there's usually nothing useful in there anyway, unless you're, the guy who designed the software.
Yes, I agree. It popped up an error that said reference to, and it said PININST_BBV. Now, I don't know. I have no clue what that is. And I tried to do a Google search to see what that meant. I don't think it's a file. And I came up with some people that had the same thing, and they were giving me ideas to try.
Yes, I see online it's called the dreaded pin install BBV message. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is an HP specific thing.
Yes, and I called HP, and they were pretty much helpless. The guy basically said, "Oh, your computer's obsolete,"
Yeah. So here's what I would do. You don't have to use the HP software to restore. Did you ever? This was a Windows 7 machine. Did you ever upgrade it to Windows 10?
No. That's one of my questions. If I go with Windows 7 again, I've got the Windows 7 license code. Can I just get a generic copy of Windows 7?
I think what you can do, even better, is get a generic copy of Windows 10. Get it from Microsoft. It's free. If you Google Windows Media Creation Tool, it'll tell you how you can download what's called an ISO file, which is the installer file, and put it on a USB key, not even a disk. It'd be much easier for you.
Okay, let me talk about that. I tried that. I found that on the internet. And it asked for the code. I put in the code. It timed out. It said request failed. It referred me to a website, and on the website there was a page that said, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it had something to do with there was a lot of hoops and things I have to jump through to get it from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Free.
So the way to do it really is to make that Windows 10 key and install it on top of an authenticated Windows 7 system. And then it will just install. It'll be Windows 10, and then you'll never have to deal with Windows 7 ever again. It'll always work, and you'll never need a serial number again. It may be that just having the serial number alone is not enough. Just do it without the serial number. Don't give it a serial number, and just download it and make that USB disk.
Okay, I'll try that.
And run the installer. I'm hoping that there's enough of Windows 7 on that hard drive for the installer to go, oh, yeah, he's got authenticated Windows 7, because you do. And it'll just say, okay, you want me to install Windows 10? And you just say yes, and please wipe the drive out, start over. Now, it's a generic, as you said, Windows 10. You can then go to HP and download the drivers for that specific TouchSmart model. They'll still offer them in the drivers page. And that will give you specific things for the video card, the trackpad. There's going to be some HP-specific hardware that you need HP drivers for. But the generic Windows should get you at least to the point where you have a booting Windows.
Got it. I'm going to give that a shot, Leo.
If that doesn't work, I'm not sure if you can get a Windows 7 boot key, but I think it should, because I think you've got Windows 7 on there. It's just not letting you log in. And that's okay. That's okay. I think you're going to install Windows 10 on top of it, and you're going to be happy. Let's cross our fingers.
I'll give that a shot.
I think it's worth it.
Before you let me go, excuse me, I want to give you a word. If you want to do it, I want to see if you know what it was for.
Okay.
CompSurf.
CompSurf or
CompSurf.
No, I mean I know CompuServe, the the internet company. What CompSurf? No, what does that mean?
Okay, you remember what NetWare was?
Yeah.
Okay, NetWare. The early versions of NetWare, the 2.x versions of NetWare, required a utility that you run on your hard drive before you put on the operating system called CompSurf. And CompSurf was a utility that did reads and writes on the drive looking for bad sectors, and it would set them aside, and it would tell you if the drive was capable of running NetWare.
Wow.
And you'd have to run it for like 2 days.
It was a NetWare utility that performs a high-level hard disk format because, maybe you didn't know this, I didn't, NetWare required its own proprietary disk format. That's crazy.
Well, I was a network engineer for several years.
Ah, that's why you know this one.
And the company I went to work for was probably one of the second companies in Los Angeles to start putting in local area networks.
Right.
And it was a training ground for me.
Oh, nice.
Netware was what we used because Netware had the market share.
Oh, yeah. My first company network, gosh, this was probably be the late 80s, was a Novell Netware network.
It was either Ethernet, ArcNet, or Token Ring.
Yep. It was Ethernet, but the problem was it was serial Ethernet. And I learned this to my horror. If I it had a little T junction that I would connect to the computer. If I disconnected that, I brought the whole network down. Oh man, that was no good. I'm glad we left that behind, and we're now using TCP/IP.
Yeah, things have definitely gotten better.
Lots of better. It's funny. That wasn't that long ago. It was 20 years ago.
Well, for some people, maybe not for you and me, but for some people, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, younger people. But seriously, we've come a long way. People forget how annoyingly difficult it was to use computers in those days. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, well, but it was a good learning platform. It really was.
Well, we learned, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
What was it? Was that 10? Was that 10 base T? Was it when I can't remember. It had like a T. It wasn't 10 base T because that was twisted pair. I'm pretty sure it was something like Ethernet.
If I remember, 10 base T was for ArcNet. No, Ethernet.
Yeah. It was twisted pair. T. That's the T was twisted pair.
That little T that came off the car.
Yeah, but we had so it was a T junction. So the wire would go, there'd be a T junction that I'd connect to like a coax connector on the back of the computer, and then it would continue on. But one day I disconnected it and apparently broke the whole, I don't know if maybe it was Token Ring. I don't know what it was, but it broke the whole thing, and I got in trouble. It was a coax with T fittings, exactly what it was. Maybe it was Token Ring.
Yeah, but you never did it again.
Never did it again.
Right.
That's how you learn. Well,
thank you so much, Leo.
I hope we help you, George. The nice thing is if you can get Windows 10 on there, and I bet you can, a lot of these troubles will go away.
Well, I'm going to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, the PC is going to be going to the Goodwill.
It's pretty old. It's pretty old.
Yeah.
Or just wipe it, put Linux on it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
You're not crazy. Have a great one. Have a great one. All right. Take care, George. You're not nuts. It's funny because even though, I do this show and 6 hours a week and it's all problems and troubles, it's so much easier these days than it used to be. It doesn't even seem like a hardship anymore. They're little problems compared to disconnecting the whole company network by just pulling a little plug out. What's this do? It was thin coax, 10 base 2 maybe. That's what it was. 10 base 2. It wasn't T, it was 2. So it's thin coax, but it was serial. So, and I think it was Netware. I seem to remember it was Netware. So if you disconnect and then so the coax would come and you'd have a T junction and you'd have coax in, connect to the little coax connector on the back of the computer, and then it'd go out the other side. Yeah, that's the 90% off, $7 for a year. A year. And then, but I must have I thought I just disconnected from my computer, but what I must have done is taken off one of the ends that was part of the ring, right? I'm sure it was Netware. And yeah, there were terminators at the ends. That's how I knew it was over. Thin net, I think that's right. I think that's what it was. Must have been my first computer network. That was probably a CAN-BR. I think it was. Any disconnect kills the whole bus. Exactly, Snick. And I think that was at CAN-BR. So we had a company network at CAN-BR, and I'm pretty sure it was Netware. I don't remember CompServe though. CompServe. What a world! What a world! All right, it's time for a turkey salad. I wonder who administered that network. Might have been Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. I got some lines open. Let's get some calls in here. I don't know. What am I going to do if you don't call? Harold's on the line from West Covina, California. Hello, Harold.
Hi, Leo. I saved my call for this special day to wish you a very happy birthday, and thank you for doing the show on your birthday.
Aw, thank you. Oh, I can't imagine anywhere I'd rather be.
I have a friend who's also named Harold like me. His birthday is today, too.
Happy birthday, Harold.
And I wish I could be your age again. I'm 26 days older than you.
What's it like a month hence?
It's pretty tough.
What can I do for you, Harold? Did they ever call you Harry or what? Harold is Harry, right?
Well, I just go by Harold.
I like Harold. It's a great old-fashioned name. My son, I named him Henry because it's a nice old-fashioned name, and they call him Hank. I don't like it. Henry, Harold, those are good names.
Regarding the T-junction coax that you mentioned,
yes,
that's also called CheaperNet.
CheaperNet, because it was cheap.
The name was very good because it was always failing.
Yeah, fail. I broke it. It had a coax and it had a little BNC connector to the back of the computer, and it's easy to break. You have to put what I found out is you have to put a terminator on. If you're going to disconnect, you have to put a terminator on it. Otherwise, all the bits come spilling out.
Anyways, regarding my call, I called you about a month ago with an issue regarding my new budget cell phone, the Samsung A01.
Yes.
And I found out what the problem was.
Oh, good, please.
The phone worked fine, but could not receive SMS text.
Right.
It turned out there was nothing wrong with the phone. I replaced the default text messenger with Google's text messenger.
There you go.
On both my wife's phone and my old cell phone.
There you go.
And I discovered that Google's text messenger uses the internet to send text rather than SMS.
Right.
And so that was what the problem was.
Good update. Yeah, the Android Messenger is actually a very good messenger. They're using, they do something called RCS, Rich Communication Systems. It gives you a lot of the features of like Apple's messages. You get it's a lot nicer than SMS, which is just text,
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad that worked. I wonder if which phone company are you using?
I'm using Mint Mobile.
I wonder if Mint
it's working great.
Do they not support SMS? No, they must.
Well, actually, what it is I think if both.
Both ends have to have it. Yeah,
if both phones are using Google's Messenger,
then it always
the internet.
works. Yeah, then it always works.
Otherwise, it just uses SMS.
That's the future of messaging. SMS is really antiquated, almost as bad as CheaperNet. Harold, a pleasure. Thank you for giving us an update. I always want to know when people get the problem fixed. I'll put that in the back of my mind, and if somebody calls again, I'll know.
Okay, thank you, and
thanks,
happy
Harold.
birthday again.
Thank you, sir. Let's say hi to Leslie in Ottawa. Hello, Leslie.
Hi there, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Ottawa, Canada?
Illinois.
Illinois. I didn't know there was an Ottawa in Illinois. Okay.
Oh, yes. Home of the first Lincoln-Douglas debate.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So what's up?
Well, I became addicted to your program during the pandemic when I was working from home. But I'm back in the office now, but I still have remote access for times when I want to log in.
I know, that's nice.
Yes, it's great. A program called Bomgar.
Okay.
And the issue is this. In my office, I've got two lovely monitors.
Yeah.
At home, I have a laptop, and I have connected an additional monitor. But for security reasons, we're unable to have the second monitor.
Oh, interesting. Do you work for a government agency with 3 letters in its name, or?
No. No.
But somewhere that's security conscious. That's interesting.
Yes,
okay.
very, very security
Good.
conscious. Yeah.
Good.
Industry.
Hang on just a sec, because I hear the music tells me we're going to take a break. But I would love to talk to you about this when we come back. And Bomgar, which I think is now beyond trust. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Eric Duckman says there are Ottawas in Illinois, Kansas, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Who knew that? It must be. It sounds like an Indian word, or maybe it's an Indian tribe.
Yes, it was.
Ottawa. How interesting. Ottawa. So it's also the capital of Canada. That's why I was confused. So go ahead and we're in a break, but we're still on the podcast. Maybe I can help you so you don't have to hang on forever. What's going on with BOMGAR?
Well, I quizzed my IT guys about it, and they said that you can connect two monitors. However, in your office, when you do that, if somebody is there, they can see what you're doing. Does that make any sense?
So they'll let you do it at work, but not at home.
Correct.
Because you might have it does make sense. It doesn't really make sense, but their issue is we don't know what's going on in your house. So,
well, no, it would be the other way around. If someone happens to be in your office that shouldn't see what you're working on.
Oh, I get it. So they're saying it's not the second monitor like you're sitting at the desk and you have two screens in front of you.
No.
They're saying when you're using remote access, we don't want your monitor at work turned on?
Correct. And I said, well, what if you leave the monitors off? They said, no, they doesn't think that it will work at all in that case.
So you have to disconnect the monitor? What do you have to do?
Well, when I log in with this one session, that does nothing with the monitor in the office. It's totally off to any bystander.
That makes sense. Okay.
And they can't access it whatsoever.
That's probably a setting that they have that they're imposing in IT because they don't want you accessing confidential documents while somebody could be just, the janitor could be emptying your trash and look up and go, oh,
exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
Exactly. So they've probably disabled that. So is that an issue for you?
Oh, well, it's such a convenience to have these nice monitors working remotely versus, the laptop. And then I can have the bigger monitor with the remote.
I'm confused
because one monitor.
So I'm confused. So you're saying at home you want to have two monitors, and that's something else you can't do. Is that right?
That's correct. I have the laptop connected to a second monitor.
Yeah.
However, the laptop makes the connection.
Oh, and it's disabling the second monitor. I see what you're saying.
Right.
But you shouldn't be doing it as a remote session. You should just have a physical hardware connection to the external monitor. Right? From your laptop? Do you have a cable going to the external monitor?
Yes, I do.
And
yes, I do.
And if BOMGAR's running, it won't let that be on.
It won't let the BOMGAR session
show in both monitors.
Show in both,
Got
right?
It.
So you have
Got
everything
it.
that's loaded on the two monitors in the office.
Yeah.
On one monitor.
See, that makes no sense. I could see how they would do it so that when you're at home and your office computer monitor doesn't come on, but it doesn't make any sense for them to say you can't have two monitors at home.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the BOMGAR settings. BOMGAR supports remote desktops configured to use. Oh, we're having trouble getting Rod on, so I love the song, though.
Hello.
I got to make him a new... Oh, you already did. Hang on just a second, Leslie. We'll get to you in a second here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're playing your song, Rod, but we can't... we can't get you up on the internet. That sometimes happens. I'm really excited to have Rod Pyle join us on the show to talk about space. I realized after we talked about the last launch, the SpaceX launch with the Crew Dragon. We watched the rocket go up. People were very interested in that. And I thought it'd be fun to have somebody to talk about what's going on these days in space. And Rod Pyle, he's not exactly a spaceman, but he covers space. He writes about space. He's the author of Space 2.0. He's also the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra. And now we have him coming in from a galaxy far, far away, Rod Pyle. Hi, Rod. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. How are you?
Oh, it's great to live long and prosper. He's giving me the Vulcan salute. I love that. Well, it's great to talk to you. Tell me a little bit about your interest in space. When did that start?
Well, I was born just a little bit before you, so kind of when NASA was starting up, about a year before. And so we grew up at the same time. I don't know when you started getting interested, but I started getting interested about the middle of the Gemini program.
It was hard not to get excited when Walter Cronkite would sit there waiting as the astronauts are about to launch.
That's very good. And Cronkite was the guy.
He was.
For some reason you couldn't get CBS, you felt right. So then Apollo came along, and we had these incredible series of flights going off to do remarkable exploration of the moon as often as every 10 weeks.
Our generation
to imagine today
got to experience this, and it was so exciting. And then, of course, we had the Challenger disaster and the space shuttle, and it just kind of dwindled out. And then NASA, it almost felt like went out of business about, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But we're back, baby.
Yeah. And actually, if you look at the public polls, a lot of people, have thought that NASA closed down or the space station crashed because they got it mixed up with Skylab or something like that. But with this new space age that we're in, and it truly is, I mean, I give a lot of talks to young people, and up till a few years ago, I'd keep saying, just hold on, study engineering, study science, study math, because the space age is going to be back really soon. And then SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy, Elon Musk's biggest hobby, and it was just a magnificent moment. It was this return to space flight, and now we have the United States taking its own spacecraft back to the space station for the first time since 2011.
Isn't that exciting? We used to have to use the Russians, of all people. We used to have to use the Russians to get to the space station. It's nice that we can do our own launches. And I don't know about you, but the moment for me when I realized space is back was that amazing, I think it was one of the first Falcon Heavy launches, where the boosters came back to Earth, twinned, landing on that platform in the middle of the sea together as if it was a ballet. At that point, I got such chills, and I said, it's back. The thing that's different, that's really interesting about space these days, and Jerry Pournelle, the science fiction author, is a great friend of mine. He was always a big proponent of commercial space exploration. I said, Jerry, that's never going to happen. It has to be government. Business has got different interests. They're not going to want to spend the billions of dollars on this kind of blue sky, literally blue sky research. He said, no, Leo, you're wrong. And he was right. Because it's interesting. It's the marriage of commercial and government that is really putting us back in space.
Yeah, and in a whole new way, because as you probably recall, back in the day when NASA never built many of its own spacecraft. JPL does, which is where I used to work. But NASA, when they built the Apollo capsules and they built the shuttle, that was all by contractors. But these were military-style cost-plus contracts. You tell us it's going to cost $2 billion. It ends up costing $4 billion. We paid the difference, and you still get your markup. Now these are fixed fee contracts. So if SpaceX or Blue Origin or Boeing gets a set amount of money for one of these spacecraft or a rocket, they have to deliver or come up with a really compelling reason why they didn't. And by NASA's own estimates, which is fascinating, SpaceX's Falcon 9 and the Crew Dragon have cost between 1/2 and 1/10 what they would have doing it the old way, which is a great bargain for us taxpayers, right?
And by the way, they're working pretty well. The Japanese astronaut Soichi Noguchi said it was the best ride he's ever had. He said it's the best space. I don't know how many spacecraft he's flown, but he said it's the best, better than the shuttle, better than Soyuz. He's flown on both of those. He loved the Crew Dragon. So not only are we saving money, apparently it's even better. What about safety, though? Do these? I worry that if there's commercial pressure to make money, that there might be corners cut.
There are, but if you go to the SpaceX plant in Hawthorne, I've been there a few times. You see it. When you went to a NASA plant in the old days, you'd see one rocket stage or one spacecraft being worked on. They were integrating or whatever, and it's all these clean room conditions. SpaceX looks like the GM of rockets. There's 10 interstages off the left with people working away on them. And there's 5 rocket engine assemblies over there. And the capsules are in a clean room. But it really is this doing it by volume. So they've learned where they can cut corners without endangering the crews or endangering the spacecraft. And let's remember about that Russian spacecraft, by the way. That was the competitor to the American Apollo spacecraft that was designed in about 1965. Yeah, the Soyuz.
That sounded familiar.
So it's kind of old, and they started off by charging us about $34 million a seat after we retired the shuttle in 2011. By the time we bought the last set of tickets, it was closer to almost $90 million. So SpaceX looks like a better and better deal, and pretty soon Boeing Starliner will fly. So we'll have 2 ways of getting up there, which is just great.
So I hope we can do this on a regular basis, Rod, because I am very excited to see space back. Like you, we grew up watching this, and I always felt bad for my kids that they didn't have this. And I admit it's a big expense. We have big issues on Earth, although relative to the problems on Earth, the billions we spend on spaceflight aren't that much. But it's so great for the human imagination and for the spirit to know that we're doing something really big, really interesting. What's ahead? I know Elon wants to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Is that actually in the forecast? Is that going to be something I might see in my lifetime, our lifetime?
Well, it's in his forecast.
Yeah. Well, Elon's a little nutty, as we know.
Yeah. He's got Elon time, right?
Yeah.
I think so, because he's working on it. NASA's working on it at a slower pace, but they want to get there by 2032. So if he doesn't manage to bypass what NASA's trying to do, we should be there at least by the 2030s. The problem with Mars isn't the tech and it isn't the know-how. We could do that in 4 years if we put the money into it. And as you mentioned, the money we spend on space isn't that much. It's about $22 billion a year. You compare that to something like the F-35 program, which has been closer to $500 billion, and it looks like a real bargain, right? But I think Mars is doable. What we have to overcome is the long-term effects of zero gravity on the body, which are
it's a long trip, isn't it?
Powerful. Yeah, it's 5 months one way. And then we have to figure out how to deal with this radiation issue because there's a lot of radiation from the sun.
It's a toxic environment, too.
It's bad. I mean, space, as I say in Space 2.0, space hates people. It really does.
Yeah.
It doesn't want these squishy bags of water and meat out there, right?
One of the things
we have to figure out those things.
I'm almost more excited. I mean, manned exploration is very exciting, but there's also unmanned stuff we're doing. There's space telescopes. I'm really curious about asteroid retrieval and mining. There's a lot of stuff we can do that's a little closer to home, maybe a little more useful. Can we, on a regular basis, get together on the show and talk about that, Rod? I'd really appreciate it.
How about every day?
Okay, well, we can do once a week. How about that? I'm not here every day.
That works.
Rod Pyle. The book is Space 2.0, also amazing stories of the space age. You've got a lot of stuff. Is there a website that you want people to go to find out more?
Yeah, it's pylebooks.com, PYLEbooks.com.
And you can see his presentation from CES there, the videos there. Rod, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm really excited as we again go into space. Rod Pyle.
The pleasure's all mine, longtime fan. Thanks again.
Thanks, Rod. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Apollo astronauts going out into space. Yeah, you and I grew up with the same exact experience. I remember getting up early morning to see the lunar landing and the first steps on the moon and all that stuff. It's burned into my consciousness.
And my parents were kind enough to let me stay home for all the moonwalks, which was great till about the middle of Apollo 14. And when the media realized there wasn't going to be another terrifying emergency like Apollo 13 was, the astronauts were halfway up to Cone Crater, which was their target, and the networks cut away to I Love Lucy reruns and Days of Our Lives. And I thought, what is this country coming to?
I agree. There's a guy on the moon, and you want to watch I Love Lucy? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you so much. Well, I should thank our contributors, I never do, to Rod, Chris Marquardt, Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy. Thanks to our musical director, Professor Laura. It's getting a little crowded in here. To our phone angel, Kim Schaffer. Thanks to all of you for listening and for being here. I really appreciate it. We couldn't do this show if we didn't get your wonderful calls. So thank you for being here. Now, I was talking to Leslie. Sorry to keep you on hold so long, Leslie. You're very generous. She is required by her company to use a remote desktop solution. You say BombGuard. It's actually been renamed to Beyond Trust, which I think is about the worst name ever. Although BombGuard wasn't that good either. But it's a remote access solution, and it has security built in. I guess your workplace is pretty secure.
That's right.
And if your IT department isn't willing to change that setting, because they could, but it sounds like you talked to them and they said, well, no. This is how we want to do it, right? I mean, did they justify it?
Well, maybe there is a workaround that they are.
Aha! Now, it would be wrong of me to in any way make a workaround your IT department. I certainly wouldn't want to get in trouble with any three-letter agencies. So I'm trying to think about this. So you're on a laptop. You fire up BombGuard. You got your computer at work on your screen. What you'd like to do is what you do at work, which is have dual screens.
Correct.
What on the external monitor does this go dark? What do you see on the external monitor? You see your regular Windows desktop.
I see both desktops, whatever I have open, on one monitor.
Okay. You have two though, right? You have two physical monitors.
I do have two.
Yeah.
I do have two physical monitors.
So what is the other monitor show?
Just the login screen.
It just sits there.
It's remote access.
Yeah, interesting. So the reason I ask is, you have in the display control panel the ability to have two different kinds of desktops with multiple desktops. And you already know this because you have two monitors. You can either have them mirrored, where both monitors show the same thing, or you can have an extended monitor. And I'm going to just presume that you've already gone into the display control panel and made sure that it's set to extended monitor, right?
Correct.
So when it extends, it doesn't. And if you switch it to mirrored mode, does it then show the same thing in both, or does it still just show the login? I'm wondering how locked down it is, I guess.
Oh, I think it's very locked down.
Yeah.
If I disconnect completely from the BombGuard and just...
then it goes back to normal. Yeah. There is in the I'm looking at the remotes. This is remote support. I don't know if this is going to do it, but there is a displays tab under the chat window. I don't know if you see that in the toolbar above at the top of the window.
Yes.
And it does have an icon that says you can change displays and use that display tab to arrange your displays. Is that disabled for you?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Isn't this used primarily for support?
Yes. This in fact, it even specifically says remote support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it says if a remote desktop has no additional monitors attached, the display icon will be inactive. So that's interesting. It is working as an extended monitor when you're not running the remote tool.
Correct.
It's only as soon as the remote tool fires up, it goes, not going to do that.
Yep.
And your IT department has confirmed, that's intentional for security purposes.
Right. Well, that's the reason, and I think it's just the nature of the beast.
I bet you there's a way around that, though. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but so I'm just thinking about how this would work. So clearly, the BombGuard tool tells Windows, look, don't have a second monitor. This is a one monitor job. Here's one way you could do it. Possibly is get a bigger monitor and just have that be the only monitor. In other words, disable the laptop display and have a large screen so that you'd in effect have two monitors, but it's a single screen, and then maybe Baumgart wouldn't complain.
Well, that's basically what I have right now.
And it didn't, and it's still,
monitor.
it won't let you switch it from the laptop monitor to that external monitor.
Oh, yeah. I drag it over and put it on the...
Oh, good. And you can.
But, yeah, I can do that. But I still have everything that's in my office on that big monitor. I'm limited to one display.
So what you're saying is you'd like the local display plus the office display, or just a bigger office display doesn't solve your problem?
No, I'd like to have dual.
Dual.
Or extended, I should say.
Yeah. What happens if you close the laptop? Does it put the whole thing to sleep? I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Boy, you know, I'm unfortunately not familiar enough with Beyond Trust to know how to get around it. And it may honestly be, especially if it's well designed, it may be that there is no way around it, that they're smart enough to prevent you from getting around it. And off the top of...
That they would, if you had no monitors attached at the host, that would settle.
Yeah, no, they're just deciding that when Baumgart's running, you can't run an extended display.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell Windows that. You can just say, no, that's not available. There may be a way to get around it, but off the top of my head, I wish I could help you. I kept you in hold for so long, Leslie, but
oh no, that's okay.
I honestly, but we have mentioned this, and perhaps somebody will say something, and if they do, I'll pass it along. I should, of course, say that it may even be that it's set up so that if you try to get around it, it notifies IT and they'll come to your house with handcuffs. I don't know how secure your job is, but there's always a risk. You are using company property that even if it's your computer, when you're using that Baumgart, you're now on company time. And it may be that that's their policy. You maybe shouldn't mess with it. If somebody comes up with an idea, I'm going to leave that on you. That's up to you. That's your job to keep or not. But if somebody comes up with an idea, I'll let you know. I just don't know, Leslie. I'm sorry. Paul in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Leo. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're not that old.
Nah, I'm a kid.
As long as you're generally healthy, it's mostly ages in your mind.
And my mind is so far okay, I think.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you, I don't think I could do this job if I were losing my marbles.
No, I don't think so either.
What could I do for you?
Well, also additionally fantastic that you're going to do the space segment.
Oh, good.
Cheering.
Good.
Up and down.
I'm glad you like it. I'm excited too. Rod's a great guy.
Well, I had the opportunity to work with John Glenn when he was running for office in Ohio.
Oh,
he was my hero. Within a few years.
Hero.
He was phenomenal. Super guy.
Those guys are heroes. He went up again, didn't he? How old was he when he went up again?
So, I think
he was in his 70s or even 80s. Yeah.
Could have been early 80s.
Hey, I'm out of time, but hang on. We'll talk off the air.
All right, great.
I hear that music that says, Leo, get the heck out of here. I'm going to go home, have some birthday cake. I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you stay safe. Please do. And I'll see you right back here next week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.
Well, I had to try to squeeze a couple extra things in there. So.
I appreciate it, Paul. That's okay. I love that. I mean, I met Buzz Aldrin when he put out a book. I got his autograph, and It was the same thing. I'm just going, we're not worthy. It's so amazing. I never got to meet Neil. I would have loved to meet Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, me too. I was born about 30 miles from Neil Armstrong, and John Glenn was about 100 miles away. And Ohio is heavy with the space stuff.
We lived in an age of wonders and an age of heroes. It really is pretty amazing. Yeah.
I met Judith Resnick, too, who was on the Challenger.
Yeah. Forget Christopher Columbus. These people are strapping a giant explosive device to their butts and going into crazy.
Yep, absolutely.
What can I do for you?
My mundane question is, I've somewhere along the line in updates or whatever, my computer, which I'm using an iMac 27-inch May 2015 version, which I love the monitor. I can still see it a little bit. Anyway, somewhere along the line, the directory or the name of the computer changed. I call it one thing and it changes to some batch of numbers. So I ignored that for a while, and then there's a directory that also is misnamed by like one character, one letter.
What?
My question is, this has happened over the years, and it's been stable for a while, but I want to straighten it out. If I change the name of the computer, change the name of a directory, is that going to screw up my iDrive?
Computer, no. The computer sharing name is easily edited in the control panel, and it's not.
Right.
It's not not going to hurt anything. It's using something more permanent for that. The folder name, I'm curious about. So you think it just spontaneously changed?
No, I think I ended.
Okay.
I inadvertently.
So probably iDrive has copies of both. Depends on how long you've had iDrive.
Well, it was before iDrive.
Okay. So no harm changing it. Worst case scenario, iDrive will back up both. Probably they will because of their versioning.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But
got plenty of space. So
I wouldn't worry about it. And eventually, those versions will go away. And in time, it doesn't keep infinite versions, and then you'll have just that new one. So it's fine. It's fine to do that.
Well, that's what happens when you get a little older. You start questioning yourself because you say, I should know this. I really should remember that.
How old are you?
Oh, 72 and a half.
So I have 7 years left. Okay, good. Just checking. before I start questioning myself.
Totally gone yet.
No, I'm teasing. It really is true. When you're young, you think, oh my God, 64, that's over the hill. And when you get there, you feel exactly the same as you did when you were, 27. And you go, maybe I can't walk as far as I used to. I can't do as many pull-ups. But, otherwise I feel the same. I have to get up more often at night to pee. That's about it. Right there.
That's about it.
That's about it. Kids don't know. They just don't know.
They don't know.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Also, drooling over your, what is it? The
M1?
Grill. Your grill.
My Traeger? Yeah.
Oh, God. I looked that up and read the details. I said, oh, that's a dream machine.
Yeah, it was $1,000, so yeah. But,
I know.
but Lisa said, we're never cooking turkey any other way. It was the best turkey I've ever had. And let me tell you, I don't know if you like barbecue, but the brisket in that thing is to die for. And it's easy.
I have a friend that had one too, and they're here locally.
Because it's pellet. It's so easy. I mean, I'm sure you get a smokier taste if you use, wood. And I'm watching these videos, and Aaron Franklin's tending the wood all night. He's just sitting there in a lawn chair from midnight to 4 a.m. tending the wood. I'm not doing that. So
can't drink that many beers.
I know. He's drinking beer the whole time. It's like, Aaron, this is not a sustainable lifestyle, my friend. I want to go to bed. So I get up early, I'll put the thing in, but I'm going to bed. And the pellet works great. It's amazing. It's easy to keep clean. It's a really nice little piece of kit. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds fabulous. I better let you go because Lori's going to kill me.
Lori's going to kill me. Thank you, Paul. Have a great day. I'll talk again soon, I hope.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.